Hi everyone, my name's Adam.
And I'm Garima, and we are PhD students at the International Centre for Radio Astronomy Research.
We've received over 100 questions from primary school students at Subiaco Primary School.
But we can only answer a few of those questions.
All right, should we get started?
Yep, we should.
Cool. So first question is from Georgia.
Which says, if we adapt to live in space, what changes, or the main changes on our bodies would be?
Cool, all right, so Georgia, this depends whether living in space we want to either be on another planet or if we want to be living in spaceships where there might not be any gravity.
If you want to live in spaceships, then our bodies might have to adapt to live without gravity. And also it would be really nice if we could live without breathing as well, because there's no air over there. But if it's another planet...
If we're on another planet, we might have to adapt to the planet having lower gravity, so our bones aren't quite as strong and our muscles aren't quite as strong anymore. Or the other planet might have a different ecosystem, and there might be like bacteria, viruses, bugs that might make us sick. So our immune systems would have to adapt to these as well.
So in a nutshell, a lot of changes would happen to our body, and we might not look like what we look like at this point. So yes, that's what the answer would be.
All right. Next question?
Yep.
All right. This is from, can't tell.
We can't see the name.
What will happen after the sun eats the earth? Whoa. That's some dark territory here.
So, what will happen after the sun eats up the earth? Well, it'll keep on expanding, and then after some time, it'll stop. And slowly, it will start losing all its shells outside. And what we'll be left with is just a small white dwarf. No.
Yeah, so the outer planets in our solar system might survive, so Jupiter and Saturn might have some of their gas thrown away by the sun's radiation, but eventually we'll get a solar system with just this hot little white dwarf in the middle, and then the gas planets around the out, and a lot more gas in space that's been thrown off from the sun.
Unfortunately, there would be no supernova, no blast, nothing. It would be just a very sad death for the sun. So, the next question. It's by
Mallory?
Yeah,
Mallory.
And she asks us, does our galaxy move? Adam?
Yes, our galaxy moves. So our galaxy, first of all, is rotating. So much like the planets go around the sun, our galaxy is going around in a big spiral like a whirlpool.
Another thing, our galaxy is a part of a local group that is part of many other galaxies and keeps on moving inside that local group as well. So we'll keep on moving all over the place. And so in retrospect, it does move a lot, quite a bit.
And other galaxies move as too. So the Andromeda galaxy and our galaxy, the Milky Way, are moving towards each other. Eventually they'll merge to become one big one. So galaxies in space are always moving around.
So what's the next question?
This is from Olivia.
And it says, how did they work out the temperature of the sun? That's a very interesting question.
Now, if you were to look at something and it was hot, so you might expect that to be red, yeah? But Garima, if something is hot in space, what color is it?
It's actually blue or white.
What? Blue
Yes.
or white?
Mm-hmm.
That doesn't make sense. When I see a hot thing, it's red. Then how do you know how hot something is?
Well, the temperature actually tells you how hot the thing is. So if you go up the scale, red happens to be the lowest temperature. And if you go up and reach the blue level, that's the hottest temperature. So when we look at our sun, that happens to be...
Yellowy green?
Yep.
Depending if I look at it in the sky with protection or not.
Well, it does fall in the greenish region,
Okay.
but because of the atmosphere we have, we see it as yellow. And now that we know what color the sun is, it's easier for us to associate a temperature to it, and that's how we measure the temperature of the sun. Because I think we'll melt if we go over the temperature scale over there, wouldn't we?
Probably, yeah. Not nice. All right, next question is from Haruki.
Uh-huh.
Say, if we were to plant trees on Mars, would the trees use the carbon dioxide and convert it into oxygen and use the water in that lake that NASA recently found? This is a good question. Unfortunately, recently, NASA also released a report saying it would be very hard for us to terraform Mars to make it livable with the resources that are there. There's just not quite enough. But this lake is interesting.
Well, as this lake, there are many other properties of the lake as well. It's salty, very, very salty.
Trees don't like salt.
No, I think they always die if the water happens to be very salty.
Yeah.
So we can't be sure if this is a new kind of tree. It might survive, but as far as I can tell, the trees on Earth might not be able to survive over there.
We'd have to make some super strong, resilient trees and maybe take lots and lots of fresh water from space, maybe from one of the moons of Saturn to terraform Mars.
Or from a comet.
Or from a comet, yeah.
And
All right, our final question
is by Georgie, which says, does the universe have an edge?
That's one of the big questions, isn't it? That's a very hard question. Now, would you like to start at the beginning for this one? So, in the beginning.
There was a bang. And then you have universe. But it kept on expanding, and it keeps on expanding, and it's pretty huge. The sad part is, there's only a limited area we can see it.
We call this the observable universe.
And that definitely has an edge, because we know there's something after it, but we just can't see it.
This is because light can only travel at a certain speed. So because the universe is only 13, 14 billion years old, the light can only travel a certain amount of distance in that time.
And that is the only thing that we can see. So what is beyond that is, again, something we have no idea about. There could be an edge, there could be no edge, there could be everything up there, there could be aliens there we don't know of.
So, to be sure, at a physical edge, we don't know. An observable edge,
there definitely
yes.
is one.